Association of Realtors. Just want to double check. I already seen. Okay, just want to make sure. It seems like now you can hear. I've had a few people saying that they couldn't hear it. Right. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Callie Waterhouse from the Arizona Association of Realtors, and in today's webinar, we're going to be discussing how to take better pictures, including the best time of the day, the best ways to take pictures, 6 things that we all need to immediately stop doing when it comes to taking MLS photos, and the best devices to use. And of course, we're going to be discussing some free apps that you can use for editing. All right, well, we're excited. Today is going to be a great webinar, and we're thrilled to welcome today's presenter is Beth Adams, and she is a professional photographer and realtor. And Beth received her Bachelor of Science in Photography from NAU a couple years ago, and then building upon her passion for photography and creativity, she was awarded this prestigious Master of Photography Award from Fujifilm just a couple of years after getting her bachelor's. So this is a woman who is filled with passion, and then you couple photography with real estate, and you know what? She is our go-to person for taking good photos. And today she's going to share with us, well, we originally said 5 ways. I've read through her PowerPoint, folks, and I got to tell you, this is jam-packed, filled with goodness. All right, and just to make sure everybody can hear me, if you would just type yes or no in the question box, I would appreciate it. Looks like Dave, we're good to go. Brenda, thank you, thank you. That is always so helpful, folks, and I appreciate that. Like I said, we're going to be welcoming Beth Adams. Here is her contact information, folks, and I will have this available when we redo the webinar recording and have it available to you as well. But here's Beth's phone number, her email address, and her Facebook page if you want to reach out to her directly. So at this time, I would like to welcome Beth to today's webinar. Welcome, Beth.
Hi.
Now, can everybody hear Beth okay? Double check. Let's see. All right. Can we all hear Beth? Beth, say something.
Okay. Thanks so much for having me, guys. I'm so excited to be here today. I am thrilled.
Wonderful. All right. Well, Beth, wonderful. We are good to go. And, folks, I am just going to turn this over to Beth today and let her run with it. You are going to be so impressed. As always, she's going to be talking about 45 minutes. And then at the end of today's webinar, we're going to be taking your Q&As. And, Beth, I got to warn you, even before we started, I had questions lining up. So,
fantastic. Well, hopefully we'll answer some of those questions in during the presentation, and we'll get that taken care of. All right, let's see. Hopefully everybody can see my screen.
All right, folks, at this time you should be seeing Beth's PowerPoint. It says Killer Listing Photography. Can you see that on your screen? Yes, thank you.
Okay.
We're good to go.
All right, so I'm super excited. Like Kelly said, I'm really passionate about taking photos and photography, and I'm super passionate about taking good photos, good listing photos, and having good listing photos in our MLS. I think that's something that's really important, and something that I think we can be doing a better job of. I think that I'm going to move on to the next thing. I think we don't do a very good job of it, and here's why. There is even Facebook pages dedicated to bad MLS photos. I love this Facebook page. It's hilarious. It makes me laugh, but it also makes me cringe because I know that these are photos that our consumers are seeing, and that hurts me from a photography standpoint. So I think we can do a lot better job. I like to ask my clients, I like to poll them. I think our consumers are the best place where we can get good information about how we can do things better. And I've asked my clients before, what do you think about the photos that you see online? And they say they're disappointed, that they think that we can do a lot better. And I think so too. So we're going to hopefully address some of those things today. And I'm going to tell you one thing that you can do better for free today, and that is to enhance and do a better job of taking photos. And it doesn't cost you anything. If you don't change your equipment today, if you don't go out and buy a new camera today, you are still going to get good information that you can implement to make your listing photos much, much better. And you're going to look more professional for it. You're going to hopefully sell your listings faster, and you're going to reach your consumer or your buyers better by showing better photos. So let's talk about why photos are so important. Everybody probably recognizes this image. And this is exactly why we need to make sure we are putting out good images with our listings, because we are so visual. And this is something that was so funny that went around and it became a huge internet sensation, and all because of just a simple picture. So to me, that speaks volumes about how visual we are as a society, and we need to make sure that we are providing good quality images to the consumer, to the buyer. So I like to read the NAR home buyer stats. I get a lot of good information out of that, but one of the things that is so important that came out in last year's survey was that 92% of home buyers start with the internet. And I think that this is huge. I don't know what the other 8% of people are doing, but I know that the majority of our buyers are going online. They are looking at homes, and they're looking at the pictures, and they're doing that first before they ever reach out to us as real estate agents. They are staring at pictures. They are just absorbing them, and they're obsessing over the homes that they're looking at, and all because of the images that they see. So it is so important for us to provide good quality images, because that's where the consumer is going to start. And the way to reach them is to be providing them with what they're looking for, and they definitely want to see awesome photos of the homes that they're interested in. So 50% of those 92% use mobile devices, so either an iPhone or an Android phone or a tablet, and that's also huge. More and more of our buyers are becoming mobile users, and they are searching homes strictly on their mobile devices, and so it's important that our visual images are really, really good, just to reach out to them through those devices that they're using. Of the 92%, this is a stat I don't have up there, but it's something we're going to talk about a little bit later on. 25% of buyers currently prefer video over photos, and I expect that number to go up, particularly as we see more and more millennials coming in and entering the home buying market. So we are definitely going to be seeing video becoming a bigger and bigger thing, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But right now I want to move on to some images that the consumers that they find really, really important. And again, this came from NAR's home buyer stats, but these are the top photos that consumers want to see. So at the very top of the list is the front of the property. And NAR pulled these stats off of home buying websites, and they took these stats based on how long did the buyers look at specific images. And they found that the front of the home was the top image that the home buyers looked at. And they stared at that image for 21 seconds. That's a long time. They were really looking at that image. And so we want to make sure when we're doing MLS photos or listing photos that we take great pictures of the front of the property. We want to give them an idea of where the home sits on the property, where it is in relation to maybe the other homes around it. But we definitely want to make sure we provide a really good front picture. The second photo that consumers looked at for the second longest amount of time was the kitchen. So kitchens are really important, and we want to make sure we're providing the consumers with really great images of the kitchen. Tied for third and fourth was the master bedroom and the master bathroom. And so what this tells us, and this is something that I really think is important for us to take in and then put back out to the consumer, is that these are the 4 images that they want to look at first. So when we're thinking in relation to ordering our images in the MLS, this is how I order my images. I want to put some pictures of the front of the home. I'm going to put some pictures of the kitchen. I'm going to put some pictures of the master bath and the master bedroom, and then I'm going to put in all the other images that I want to show of the home. But my first lump group of pictures are going to be variations of these 4, just so that I'm providing what the consumer is asking for. And then we're going to move on here to some photos that we should not be taking. And I like to, when I teach this class, I like to go out into the intranet, onto the MLS, and I like to pull up from my local MLS pictures, and this is, you guys are going to find this fascinating. I went in and pulled listings that were $1 million or more, and these images came from listings that were $1 million or more, and I find that really incredible. But it doesn't matter what price your listing is, these images should not be there. Blurry or shaky images, dark images, pictures of closets, or photos that are not on center or on point should not be included in the MLS. And unfortunately, we see these all too often. And so these are things we should not be including. Unless you have the Kim Kardashian of closets, closets are not something we should be including in our listing photos at all. They don't do any service to the buyer and definitely not to the seller. It's just not an enticing photo. So we should definitely not be seeing these pictures. I'm going to go through some photos. I'm going to be talking about the techniques later on, but I'm going to show you just some differences on an A photo to a B photo. Then you guys are going to be able to see just a few changes, what a big difference can make. So let's take a look at this picture. And then let's take a look at this picture. Now, I just did a few things, and you guys are going to learn these tips as we go along, but there's just a couple of things that I did that's slightly different from this photo to this photo. And you can see the difference and how much of a difference it makes. So my camera is probably a little bit nicer in this photo than this one. And the other difference is the level from which I took the photo. I got down to waist level instead of taking it from eye level. So we're going to talk about that tip a little bit later on, but we're going to keep moving on here. So there's this bathroom photo, or this bathroom photo. And the only difference in these two pictures, other than the camera that was used, was the angle that the picture was taken from. I actually got up high so I could get a better view of the bathroom, so you can kind of see the difference. I also had the lights on, so that makes a big difference as well. So just some small tweaks, and you will be amazed at the difference that you will see when you start implementing some of these tips and tricks I'm going to share with you here shortly. And here's another one. So you can see the first one was kind of dark, and we had a lot of the windows coming in, and just by shifting from where I was taking the picture, it made a big difference as far as being able to see the actual room and the size and the angle. So sometimes just changing your position is going to make a huge difference. You're not going to be competing with those windows, and it brightens things up a little bit. So I'm going to share with you some more tips and tricks here in just a little bit, but we're going to move on. Okay, all bathrooms have toilets, but toilets should not be in the photos of all bathrooms, okay? One of my biggest pet peeves, and I'm sure a lot of you see out there when you're going through the MLS, you see photos that have the toilets in them, which I really don't think is necessary, but you also see where the toilet lid is up. We've all seen those horrible pictures. So we don't need to show the toilets. And I actually know that there are some companies that are going to having policies that say don't take pictures of the toilets or don't include them in the MLS photos. I think that's a great policy. However, if you have just a bathroom where there's no water closet and the toilet isn't hidden, how do you provide those photos, right? That's kind of a sticking point. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but both of these images that you're seeing, the toilets did not have water closets, and I was still able to give you a good idea of what the bathroom looked like without showing you the toilet. So we can talk about that tip in just a little bit. Now it's time for tips and tricks. So I'm going to share with you one of the most important things that I think we can do, and that is to educate our sellers when we meet with them and we get the listing and we're sitting there and we're talking strategy as far as how we're going to market their property. One of the best things we can do is educate them. Share with them what I just shared with you about the home buyer stats and how important it is to have great photos of their property and how you're going to do that. And the way that you're going to do that is, one, schedule time to come and take their photos. Tell them, I'm going to come and I'm going to take some outstanding photos of your property, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, but this is going to take a little bit of time. We need to set aside some time. I'm going to take about an hour. That's how long I take to take my listing photos. You might get them done a little bit faster, but I usually say about an hour because that's going to give me time to be able to maybe shift a few things around, move some furniture, maybe do some light staging. And the other thing that you can tell them too is say, hey, in order to help best portray your property in the photos, let's make sure we clear all the clutter off the counters. We put the toothbrushes away. We put, we hide the garbage bins. We just clean it up a little bit. So if you kind of educate them first and let them know how important the images are of their property to a home buyer, then they're going to be more willing to work with you, and they're going to give you that time, and they are going to hopefully put in the energy to help you get those good photos. So schedule and then do some light staging and then take your pictures. And when you're photographing, here are some things that I think is really important to remember, and that's to highlight the home and lifestyle. So if you've got like a horse property, take pictures of horses in the pasture. If you have a property that has an RV garage, highlight the lifestyle and the home, but don't take photos of things that are not going to convey with the home. I'm pretty sure this lovely horse statue here, which I've pulled off the MLS, does not go with the home, and so there's really no reason for it to be in the photos. Also, the top one there, it's a lovely picture of a bush. However, you're not highlighting anything about the home by showing that picture. Also down at the bottom, super, 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 super over-edited and over-enhanced photos, not something that we want to show. It really detracts from the picture, and it's going to let the home buyer down every time because they're going to say, it doesn't look like what I thought it looked like online. And so over-enhancing or over-editing is not a good idea. All right, say hi to your new best friend. And no, it is not Harry the handyman here. It is a step stool. When you go to take your listing photos, take a step stool with you. You can go buy one from Walmart or Home Depot for about $15. Take it with you. You are going to be amazed at how much you're going to use it and what a difference it's going to make with your photos. I use my step stool a lot. I either sit on it to get a different perspective or I stand on it to get a different perspective. So when you are taking photos of, say, bathrooms and you've got that big mirror and you cannot avoid being in the mirror and the flash and you've got your reflection and it's a mess and you just don't know how to fix that, use the step stool. Either get up higher or sit on it to get a little bit lower, and you will find that that's going to help you with taking photos of bathrooms with those mirrors. Also, just getting up higher may sometimes allow you to get a different perspective of a smaller room. Likewise, getting down lower might help you make a smaller room look a little bit larger in your photos. I like to just kind of get up and take a photo while I'm standing up on it, and then I'll sit down on the step stool and I'll take pictures, and it'll just kind of give me some variety, and I can look at my images later and decide which photo is giving me the best angle and portraying the home in the best light. So a step stool, if you're going to do your own listing photos, that is a must. Take it with you and use it. You will find it does amazing things for your photos. All right, let's talk about some do's. Okay, so shooting from the waist. What that means is instead of standing on up and shooting from eye level, it means either bring the camera down to your waist or just bend over or sit on your step stool like we talked about and shoot from the waist. It makes a big difference when you're photographing particularly smaller rooms. It's going to allow you to get the perspective of not only the ceiling but also the floor, and it's going to give your rooms a larger feel to them. We talked about toilets in pictures. So another great way to get pictures of the bathrooms is to actually just stand on the toilet. One, that's going to ensure that the toilet is not in the photo, hopefully. But the other thing that it's going to do is it's going to, again, raise you up, get you a little higher, act like your step stool, and give you the ability to maybe get a different perspective on the vanity of the bathroom or get yourself out of the mirror. So shoot 1 hour before sunset. So for photographers, we call this hour the golden hour. And the golden hour is the time right before sunset when the lighting is just perfect. And it's going to help you bring the outdoors in. When you're taking inside photos, the lighting is going to be a little bit softer, so you're going to maybe be able to see some of the outside through the windows. Also, if you take up an entire hour of taking photos, you might be able to finish up by going outside and getting some great pictures of the house with the sunset. So taking photos 1 hour before sunset is like the absolute ideal time to take listing photos. If you can't do that, make sure you come at a time when you can put the sun at your back. So if you have to come in the morning or at midday, make sure you time it so that you can put the sun at your back so you can minimize that sun flare and the shadows that you're going to find in the photos. Turn on all the lights. This is going to help your pictures in two ways, and the first way is it's of course going to brighten up every room, and the other thing it's going to do is it's going to make the house look more homey. And that's something that's really appealing to buyers is when they see that the lights are on and it's just a nice homey feel. So turn on all the lights. And then this is my favorite one, is use the four corners rule. And so this is where when you look at a room, it's got four corners, and what I want you to do, it doesn't matter what the room, I want you to go, when you do your listing photos, I want you to take a photo from each of the four corners. Then when you get back home or to the office and you're editing the listing photos, what you're going to have is you're going to have a perspective that maybe you didn't realize existed for a room, and you're also going to have several other perspectives to include in your photos. Instead of just one perspective of a room, maybe you'll have two. This is going to give buyers a better feel of the layout of the home and give them some more options to look at when it comes to the photos. Also, apply the four corners rule to when you're outside of the property. Use the four corners of the lot and take pictures from each corner just to give yourself some additional options with variety to the exterior of the home. And you're going to find, if you just do that, you're going to find you're going to have more photos because you're going to have some great different angles that you didn't think of, and you're going to just really have some additional photos to use in your listings. Now we're going to go on to my don'ts. All right, we've talked a lot about the toilet, and hopefully everybody knows, don't include the toilet. Don't show closets or laundry rooms. Again, unless you have like the most fabulous closet in the whole world, or you have this supreme laundry room that's not just a laundry room, it does other things. Don't show laundry rooms or closets. It doesn't do your home any favors. It doesn't do the listing any favors. It doesn't do the buyers any favors. Leave the closets and the laundry for when the buyers come to look at the house. No garbage cans. This is one of my big pet peeves is it's so easy to move the garbage can, and yet we don't. So if it's the dumpster outside, roll it out of the way and then put it back when you're done taking the photos. Or if it's inside, if you've got a garbage can in the bathroom or a garbage can in the kitchen, just set it aside, take those photos of that room, and then put it back. But there's no reason we should have garbage cans in our photos. Don't over-edit or over-enhance the photos. There's no reason to. It really disappoints the buyers. They really want to see what the actual home looks like. And when it's over-edited or over-enhanced, or the colors are oversaturated, it doesn't look like what the home actually looks like. In some way, shape, or form, the buyer's going to be disappointed. They're either going to be disappointed at the photos or they're going to be disappointed at the home. So don't edit or enhance your photos. Just give an accurate representation of what the home looks like. And if you do that little pre-counseling session with your sellers and talk about how important photos are, hopefully they'll help you, and the home will be clean and picked up and staged well, and you won't feel the need to over-edit or over-enhance. But there should be no reason to do that. We really should portray the home as it is. The other thing is, don't undersize the images. So a few years ago, we used to have to reduce the size of our images prior to uploading them into MLS. That is no longer the case in most areas. You don't have to resize them at all. The software has come leaps and bounds over the last few years, and they can resize them if necessary. But if we don't resize them, then they go out and in their nice, pretty form. I have a very large camera that I take photos with, and it takes some pretty massive images. My images are usually around 4 megs each. I do not resize them when I upload them to the MLS. Yes, it takes a little bit longer, but then my images are the top quality, and they are not going to come out too small or pixelated, so don't undersize. Also, don't take listing photos with your phone. Those blurry, fuzzy, dark photos that we see are usually caused by taking pictures with your phone. Our phones are great. The cameras on our phones are awesome. They're wonderful for taking pictures of your kids or your dogs or your cats or whatever it is, but they are not for use when we're doing listing photos. They just are not going to cut it with quality. It doesn't matter if you're going to get the little lens attachments or not. The quality is just not there, and here's why. We use our phones every day. We drop them every day, and those little camera components within the phone get rattled and banged. The lens gets dirty. It gets crumbs attached to it. It gets fingerprints all over it, and you're going to find that the quality of pictures is just not there. So don't take listing photos with your phone. So what should you use? So the top point and shoot. There are a multitude of really good point and shoot cameras out there that you can go buy for $100 or less. Nikon makes a great Nikon Coolpix. That's a great point and shoot camera. It's around $100. Canon makes a good one. Sony makes a great one. And if you are going to go with a point and shoot, it is it is a business expense. So what I recommend, because our technology changes so fast, and those little cameras are always getting a little bit smaller and the technology a little bit better. So if you're going to go with a point and shoot option, upgrade your point and shoot every year. Again, it's a business expense. You can write it off, and that way you're going to make sure that your quality is there every year. A digital SLR is another option. That's a digital single lens reflex. I use a digital SLR only because I also use it with my professional photography. But if you have one and it's older, let's say it's 5 years or more older, it's probably time to upgrade. If it's newer than 5 years, you're probably okay, but you might want to start looking for a new one. But a digital SLR is another great option. An iPad or tablet is okay. Now you're going to ask me, why did you say no phone, but then you said I could use my iPad or tablet? And the reason why iPads or tablets are okay and phones are not is, one, we don't tend to cart them around as much as we do our phones or drop them as much as we do our phones. I like the fact that if you use your iPad or your tablet, you can immediately have the editing software on there, and you can edit and take care of it all in one place. So those are my suggestions for equipment. Again, if you have an older point and shoot, one that's several years old, look at upgrading. Again, it's not going to be a big expense, but you're going to have better quality photos if you go out and buy a new point and shoot. All right, now we're going to talk about some apps. So once you go out and you get these great images of your home, here are some apps that are going to help you with editing and with marketing, what to do with your photos after you take them. So these are just some of my favorite apps. There's a million apps out there for photo editing, but I want to just kind of touch on some of my favorite ones. And we'll start with Rivet. Rivet is a photo editing and collage program. It's really easy to use. It has a nice desktop program as well. I really like it. It's just, again, super easy to use. Pixlr is also another photo editing software app that's really easy to use. And when I talk about editing, maybe straightening the photos, maybe cropping or labeling the pictures, I always suggest to, when you do your editing and you go through and you look at all the images and you pick out the ones you want to use, and you maybe straighten them and crop them a little bit or tweak them here and there, go ahead and label them in the editing program that you're using, and that way it's going to save you some time once you've uploaded it to MLS instead of waiting to label them through the MLS. So Sketch is another really cool, it's really, what it is it allows you to put annotations and text on photos. Now this wouldn't be for use within the MLS, because I believe most MLSs do not allow text on photos, but this is like if you want to put together a social media marketing post, or you want to do a flyer and you do some collage photos, and then you want to maybe put some text on the photos prior to sending them out. Sketch is a great program for that. It allows you to maybe add circles or arrows, like you want to say that, you know, your home is here and you want to have a little arrow pointing to it. So Sketch is a really cool program for that. Photo collage is something I really like to use when I'm going to maybe do a social media marketing post. I like to throw together a collage of photos of the listing and put that out to all of my social media clients. So Canva is my new favorite one. I'm obsessed with Canva. I absolutely love it. I use it almost every day. And what Canva is it's a graphics design program, and it allows you to create social media posts and You can create flyers. You can create all kinds of cool marketing things on Canva, and it's super, super, super easy to use. I really, really like Canva. It's one of my favorite new apps. And so using some of the apps that we just talked about, here's some flyers, some social media posts, some photos where you can just take and add text or add graphics and really enhance your marketing of your listings using great photos and some of these great programs to help you. We are moving right along here, and we briefly touched on video, and I really believe that within the next couple of years, or even just next year, we're going to see a trend where video is becoming more and more necessary. And I think what we're going to see is that, especially with more and more millennials entering the marketplace, we are going to see more and more demand for videos of our properties. And that doesn't mean you have to go out and buy a video camera or hire a videographer. Because what we can do now is there's some really great programs, and I'll get to them in a minute, but there's some really great programs where we can just take the awesome photos that we took of our listing and turn those into really great video tours of our listings. And I will touch on the apps shortly, but this is a video. I'm gonna just play a brief part of it. I'm not going to play you the whole thing, but this is a video I did. This is actually one of my listings. And I actually sold this home because of the video. It was really, really, really cool that the buyer for this property was not in the United States. They saw this listing and the video online, and actually came back to the United States to purchase this home. So. One of the things that I did with the video is I used pictures, but through my editing I made it look like we were kind of panning through the rooms. Another thing that I did was I only showed a portion of the property. I didn't show the entire home or all of the rooms. I highlighted kind of some of the things that the consumer wants to see. And I think that's really important when we're doing videos, is to just show part of the home, just to give them a little snippet, a little tidbit to entice them to come and see the actual house. And the other thing is KISS, not keep it simple stupid, but keep it short stupid. Visual images are awesome, video is awesome, but it has to be short because we have to keep the attention span of the viewer, and that attention span is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. So when we do videos of our listings, we want to keep them about 2 minutes or less. I think 1:30 is a really great time for videos, and it makes them really easy for us to put together. The other thing is make sure you're using licensed music. That's really important to make sure that you're not pilfering music that hasn't been licensed for your use. So there's a bunch of places you can go and get stock music for a very, very reasonable price. So, and then make sure you brand it with your company, just to follow with our advertising rules, that we want to make sure that we are compliant with the ADRE and that we have our brand on the video. Typically you can put it at the end or you can put it at the beginning, but make sure that it is branded. Some of the video apps that I really like, Animoto is one that is so easy to use. That is one that you have to pay for, though. And if you're like me and you want to not have to pay for things, I use iMovie. That's one of my favorite ones to use. PhotoSnack is one that's it does not cost. And it's also cross-platform. You can use it for Android or for iOS, PC or Mac. Smilebacks, that's another one that you can pay for if you want to. It's not very expensive, but you can also use it to create videos with photos and music. So a couple of my favorite video apps that I like to use. So I hope that this has helped you out very much. I want to thank you guys for your time, and I hope that I have left enough time for questions for everybody. So thank you again. I hope you guys found this informative, and I'm going to turn it back over to Callie for your guys' questions.
Well, great. And yes, Beth, we do have a bunch of questions. I'm going to consolidate some of them because they do overlap, but the very let's go back to the device that you use for taking your pictures. A couple of folks wanted to know, what do you personally use to take your photos?
Sure, that's a great question. I use a Nikon digital SLR, and it was actually my Christmas/birthday/Mother's Day present for like the next 5 years.
And you have like a favorite lens that you like to use on your Nikon?
I do. The lens that I use is it's a Nikon lens, and it is a 24 to 85 zoom. And when you're taking photos of homes in particular, especially small rooms, you want to make sure that the wider the lens is, the better. So the smaller the number on your lens, so like a 24, a 20, an 18, any of those numbers is great for width-wise for your lens, because it's going to allow you to encompass the most amount from the least furthest distance.
All right. So Gail, Beth is suggesting like the smaller the number, the better the lens.
That's right.
All right. And then, and what format do you shoot in? Are you shooting in RAW? Are you shooting in JPEG? What's your preference? What do you suggest?
Oh, good question. I like it. That's a great question.
That's how
I shoot in JPEG. You can shoot in RAW. I don't necessarily think that you need to go that big for what we're doing. I shoot JPEG, and my images are about 4 megs each, and I think that's big enough.
Okay, great. And then we're going to speed it up just a little bit here because we're going to be out of time, and there are a ton of questions.
Okay, great.
You said that you don't typically suggest shooting closets. Does that include empty closets or just closets straight across the board?
Closets straight across the board, I don't really find that there's any value in showing them the pictures, the consumer, I mean. Again, it's up to you, but unless you have like this amazing, amazing closet, there's really no need for pictures of closets.
Okay. And are you shooting cropped or full frame?
I shoot full frame and then crop it if I need to.
That makes sense. Okay, that makes total sense. And so this question came up, I don't know, like 10 times, and it seems to be one that's kind of, it's a great discussion question. When you log onto the MLS and, you're either a consumer or an agent and you're looking at pictures, some of the listings have 5 pictures, some have 15, some have 100. Is is there a place, is there an average number of photos that seems to draw the consumer in more? What have you found, Beth?
From my experience, the more photos, the better. However, keep in mind that like Zillow and Trulia and some of the other sites that our MLS is feeding out to, only it caps you at like 36 photos. So when I talked earlier about those 4 main pictures that consumers like to see, that's why I like to put those in first, is so that
Whoops, Beth, where'd you go?
million images that don't that are either the same or that are not showing good things about the property. So if you only have 20 images and they're 20 good images, use those 20 images, but don't put a bunch of filler photos in just to fill it up and have a bunch of images.
Okay, so let's talk about those 20 images, and you gave us the 4 best things to include. Now, are you doing like 4 photos of the front of the house, 4 photos of the kitchen, 4 photos of the master bedroom? Are you doing them sequentially, or are you kind of mixing them up?
When I order my images in the MLS, I like to give you maybe some, maybe 2 or 3 of the front of the home, but from different angles.
Okay.
And then it'll be maybe 1 or 2 or 3 of the kitchen, depending on, again, it depends on the property, but from different angles. So don't just have it be 3 images that are at the same angle. Use those 4 corners and take pictures of each room from those 4 angles, and you will probably get at least 2, if not 3, of each area to show.
Excellent. Now we've got a bunch of questions about lighting and flash. We talked about the golden hour being the time. Is there such thing as too much lighting, or how do you offset maybe too much natural lighting? What are your thoughts?
Good question. So when you're using your camera, there's this great setting called auto, and I love that setting, particularly when we're taking pictures inside, because it's going to produce just the right amount of flash to light the house up. If you have additional lighting on, like we talked about turning on the lights to give it that homey feel, that's going to help you too. If it over flashes, you can adjust your flash, or you can adjust that through your editing software, where you can maybe take the exposure down just slightly if it's too bright. But if you're dealing with natural light and it's too bright, either close the blinds a little bit or a lot, or if you've got that weird sun coming in at a specific angle, put your back to the window, or come back at a different time of day. Maybe that room just isn't going to photograph well at that time. So
other than the golden hour, what time of the day is a good time to shoot?
If you're going to take photos inside and you can't hit the golden hour, high noon is a good time. You'll probably avoid having that angled sun coming through the windows at that time. As far as exterior pictures, try to avoid the early morning. That's when you're going to get the most dark angled shadows, is in that morning hour. So anytime in the later morning or midday or later afternoon is good if you can't hit that golden hour.
Sure, that's good. And then, like I said, there's a lot of questions about how many pictures. Do you think, in your personal opinion, is there such thing as too many photos?
It depends on the property. If you have an extensive property, it's very likely that you could easily take 60 really good, unique images of a property, or even 70. But if your property is a cookie-cutter home in a subdivision where all the homes are very similar, I think you're going to have a hard time hitting that higher number. So again, it depends on the property. I think you're going to find an average of about 30 to 36 photos is going to be a good amount to take. If you work those 4 corners of the room, you'll be able to provide unique pictures of each individual room, and you won't have any overlapping images. And that can be just for your traditional 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So.
And do you by any chance, are you able to recommend any of the names of the top music sites that you use?
Oh, for licensed music, yes. There are a couple of places that I like to go that are reasonably priced, and one of them is Pond 5. That's P-O-N-D, Pond 5. That's a great stock music site. Also, I like to use Fiverr, and with Fiverr you can actually hire a musician and have them make you music for somewhere between $20 and $25, depending on how long you need that music to be. But that's another great way to get pre-licensed or stock music without paying a lot of money.
Great. Okay, and then as we wrap up, just two, like, your personal opinion, your preference questions. Number one photo editing software or app?
I really like Ribbit. Ribbit has a lot of cool features that's really easy to use.
And that's R-I-B-B-E-T?
Yes.
Okay.
R-I-B-B-E-T. I also really, really, really like Canva. If you have not gotten into Canva and you like to make your own marketing flyers and your own social media posts, Canva is, I think, something you'll find that's really easy to use and something that once you start using it, you won't be able to live without.
Like we talked about, I completely agree. I absolutely love Canva. Okay, and number one, like, video, app, or editing software?
Okay. I'm a Mac person, so I use iMovie. However, if you're not a Mac person and you feel comfortable with spending a little bit of money, Photo Magica is another great software that is goes across Mac or PC. And then if you are comfortable spending a little bit of money, Animoto is another one that's super easy to use. And Animoto is cool because it provides you the pre-licensed music along with the video editing, and it's all encompassing in the one cost. So, yeah.
That would be kind of nice. Okay, and then folks, if you need to reach out to Beth, her contact information is again on the screen. Her phone number, her email address, so you know, it's adamshomesaz with the number 2 at gmail.com. You can connect with Beth also on Facebook at facebook.com/Beth Adams Photography. Beth, thank you so much for joining us today and for kind of walking us through how to take better photos for our MLS listings.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys got some good tips.
We absolutely will. And folks, as always, if you have any recommendations for webinars, please let us know. We do have a broker series coming up that we're going to be starting in May. It'll be the third Thursday each month. So in May, we're going to be talking about how to run efficient office meetings with Holly Esslinger. And if you visit our website at www.aaronline.com/calendar, you'll be able to see May, June, and July and be able to sign up for them. Beth, any closing remarks?
Just take great photos, and you will find you will sell your photos, or you'll sell your listings faster. But thank you, and please feel free to reach out to me. I would be happy to answer questions and help with anything I